Hello everybody, I'm going to do a cool color demonstration using the paint that I had left over on my palette from the tints and shades that I used with the green. So I had a board here, a canvas board, that I had done some abstract, well, non-representational work, if you will. I had some leftover paint from a previous painting and I was just playing around. So I think I'm going to use this since it's already cool colors here. We've got some blues, we've got some greens, little yellowish green in the background, but it's more cool color. I'm taking a brush that's just wet and I'm just wetting my, this was dry, so I'm just wetting the background a little bit. I think I'm going to do some trees since we have these drips, since that kind of looks like trees coming up. I can just use that and we'll go from there. So I am just wetting my background with a wet brush here. I'm going to take from my palette just some white. I already had green, phthalo green, titanium white, and ivory black when I did my tints and shades demonstration. So I'm just going to take some white and I'm going to start with my sky here. And I'm just going to paint over all of this. It's okay if it's translucent in some areas because it'll give the hint or the idea of a forest. If those dark lines are still there, we're going to blend that in. That's my plan. Blend that into what's going to look like trees. I'm trying to hold this still while my brush passes over. I'm just going to do this very quickly just to cover that, and then I'm going to come back with my horizontal strokes. You kind of want to stay in the same direction. I'm just going to come down in, that's going to blend. I'm kind of using crisscross, like making little X's with my brush. And that, remember, I didn't get down here with the water, so I can come down just a little bit. I stopped because I didn't know how far I was going to go. I'm just kind of doing this intuitively. Okay, so let's just say I might, even if I came back with darkness down there, which I think I am going to do, it's okay because that'll be dry by then. I think I'm going to put some more white at the top. I'm going to use up all this white because I don't want to waste paint. So I'm just going to, there's a little green in there. This is going to be abstract in the sense that if the sky is green, we can do that. We have artistic license to do that because we're the artists and we can make those types of decisions. And with abstract art, it takes something from real life and it changes it. It abstracts it in a way that may not exist, but we know what it was. So, or what it could have been, or what it was supposed to be representationally. So now I want to start getting into my green here. I'm just kind of filling in some corners here, a little bit more color there. So let's just say there were some clouds in the sky in the background. We might want to get a little bit of, let's see what's not dry. A little bit of pigment in there. I just want to scoop up all that. Like I said, I'm not going to waste any paint. Okay, so that's pretty much all of my white. Now, what I'd like to do is make sure I get all of that off my brush as much as I can because I'm going to use it up. Now I'm going to have some foliage here at the bottom. I'm going to clean my brush. So I am using acrylic paint, which is water-based. You want to use water as your solvent, as your cleaner, brush cleaner. You can always keep, if you need to keep 2 containers nearby, one for dirty, one for clean. If you need a wet brush with clean water, that would help. In this case, it doesn't matter because I am using pretty much the same tones throughout, except for the white and the black. So if I needed to get dark, I needed to take some of that white out, which is what I needed to do. So this is going to be cool colors using phthalo green. But also, if I'm just using green and titanium white and ivory black, then that's going to be monochromatic. Monochromatic means you're using one color. Mono meaning one, chroma meaning color. So let's start with the ground here. I think I want to get darker. I'm going to layer. So I'm not going to go as dark right now because I'm not sure where I want to go with this. So I'm going to pull this out at the bottom so I can get the bottom. Now I didn't wet the bottom, but I have enough water in my brush so it will spread and mix as I go. Oh, sorry. So I'm just going to all this is going to be either foliage or trees or trunks of the trees. Now, as I go up, I can just get a little bit, I can ease up off of my brush with the pressure that I'm applying here and just blend that right on up and get that atmospheric perspective in there. And I don't want to come back down because I'll bring that white back down. So this white up here is already wet. So once I go up, I need to stay up or clean my brush. And I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I got a little bit too much water in my brush because I'm seeing those strokes in there and I'm gonna dab that off on my paper towel. Keep a paper towel or a washcloth or a towel handy. Something that can be used for paint in your paint station there. Okay, I like that. So I'm gonna come back in more darkness at the bottom because we have that base there. Now remember, I still have that white in my brush, so I need to take out, when I came up, I picked up some of that white, so I'm going to get some of that white out of my brush. With acrylics, you want to blend. If you're going to be doing a lot of blending, you need to do it while it's wet. Acrylics can be as thick as you want, or it can be as thin as watercolor. The more water you use, it'll be more like a wash, a watercolor wash. So you can control it like that, but you just have to make sure that if you're doing a lot of mixing, it's done while the paint is still wet. So I'm going to take some of this phthalo green straight out of the tube. This was my hue. I'm just going to get rid of all this paint that I had left in here. So I'm serving two purposes. I am getting rid of the extra paint on my palette and I'm doing a demonstration. So now I have a lot of shades of the green that I had on my palette. So that was a shade is the color mixed with black. So I'm going to pick those up and start laying those in. And I picked up some black with some stray hairs on my brush by accident, but that may work. Accidents sometimes work. So I'm going to pick up some of that darker green and I'm going to lay that in. And it's not really showing because it's wet right here. So the more color I pick up, and plus I also sprayed my paint on my palette so that it wouldn't dry out in between sessions. So it's a little bit wetter than I would like. So what I do to counteract that or to combat that is just make sure I take all the extra water out of my brush with my paper towel that you're keeping nearby handy. So now I'm going to pick up some more of that pigment. Now I'm just going to, since I already I've used up all of my shade with the green. So now I just have black left on my palette that's still wet. So now I'm just going to take the black. It's going to mix. I'm going to layer it in and do some trees in my forest for the sake of time. So the closer I get to the bottom, the darker I want to get. So I'm just going to come right on in with that black. This is pure ivory black out of the tube. Remember that my canvas is still really wet, but that might work in my favor. Get that atmospheric perspective. And I'm going to blend. Now, what I want to do, if you're videotaping or if you're not, you can stand back and look at the painting. You always want to stand back away from the painting. Or if you're videotaping, you may be able to look at the reflection in the camera. I think I want to bring this darkness up a little bit more. If I bring the darkness up a little bit more, some of that green, I like this green here. It looks like a foggy mist in the marsh or in the forest. I really like that. So I want to keep that, but I think I want to bring some of this darkness up just a hair. And I'm going to save the rest of my black for my trees. I just want to bring that up just a little bit, but I don't want to work it too much because I do want to keep that. I love that glow, that greenish glow. That phthalo green is like a teal color almost. And when you put white with it or when you water it down, it really gives it a beautiful glow. So now I want to get all the excess moisture out of my brush. I've used the same brush the whole time. I cleaned it, but I haven't changed brushes. I haven't changed hues. I'm still with the white, the black, and the green. So I'm just going to take that black and I'm going to make some trees here. And if I need to get another brush to do some detail, I can. So let's just see what this works out. So since this is a foggy, misty, marshy looking picture, we've got a tall line here. We can make a big tree here. We can make one over here, and we can make some little ones back here. So we can start with, if it's atmospheric and you don't have a lot of detail, remember, as I go up, I'm going to pick up that white. So I need to make my decisions here. Like, all my darkness needs to stay down here unless I'm taking some of that white and putting some detail in, and I'll show you that later. But also, as I come up, some of that white can work for my details in the tree. Now I'm picking up some of that white, but some of it did dry, so I'm just kind of laying in here what that tree would look like. That canopy of those, you're gonna have a canopy up there if you want, or it could be maybe fall or winter time and it's not that much. So I think I want a little bit more over here. I need to get some more paint on my brush. Okay, so I'm just laying it in so I kind of have an idea what it wants to look like. And if I pick up some green from somewhere else on my palette, it's okay, because it's all going to end up blending anyway. So I don't want to scrub too much because that white is going to turn it gray, obviously. Now, I want to come back over here some. I want to come up here some. Okay, then I'll come back later with a little bit of detail here. So let's put a few more leaves on that side. Maybe down here. So now I want to take, I still have some more black, and I can take, let's put one here. Let's do a thinner one. I think I'll get a smaller brush. Got one left over from my tints and shade session. So I'm going to take that, have it a little damp. Let's get some of that black. And let's get a little bit more water, because this might be a different tree. So let's make that. So I picked up some of that white, but that's okay, because there could be some sunlight peeping in through that canopy, and then we'll use that as our detail. And those drips that were in the background, those could just be trees in the distance, in the fog. Okay, we'll leave that. Let's come back in at that bottom, at the base of that tree, and let's blacken that right on out. So too much water will take that out. So you want this to just almost disappear, because the marshy, it's foggy, you can't even see where they come from. Just blend that right on in. And why don't we use that one? Let's do one in the distance. And this one might be okay if we add a little bit more, if we have a little bit more white, because if it's in the distance, you have the atmospheric perspective. So I'm going to brush that a little bit more and pick up some of that white, so that it looks like it's a little bit further back than the other one. I'm going to stop there because I do want that to be dark. So I'm going to come here. Did pick up some of that green. We don't know how tall this tree is. We don't know what kind of tree this is. Let's make it look a little different. And then we'll just come back in with that big brush. I like that. Come back in with that big brush there and spread out some of those leaves. Let's get a little drip over there. Let's make that into a branch here. All right, I kind of like that. So let's come back. Let me do this trunk here. Let's take out some of that. I still had a lot of black in the base of my brush. So I'm going to use that. Turn that into the trunk here. I'm going to make that disappear, just disappear. I still have some more black left. I did bring some of that gray down, so let's blacken that a little bit more. I really like that. Now let's take this, our 2-inch brush, and come back. And I do want to go back and work on that trunk there. Let's take that. I don't want to make it as bushy as this foliage over here, but I do want, okay, that dried a little bit. Let me get a little bit more of that color in there. Maybe even just a tad of that green. Let's see if I can pick that up. I just want, just an idea. Just spread that out just a little bit so it won't be so obvious. I want this tree to be different from that tree. So I'm just gonna give a hint of foliage there. And this tree may not even need to have leaves. You know, it could have lost its leaves, or it could be dead. We don't know. Or some of the leaves could have fallen from there, you know. So we can leave that. And if so, I'll come back and put in a little bit more detail with that. Why don't I do that now? So let's take that other brush that I had, the other flat brush that I had, and pick up some more of that black. So I'm being economical here. I'm not wasting paint. And I'm making art. Let's see if we can fix that. So the light would be up here, so down here would be darker. Let's fix that. It could be a broken, I like that. It looks like it's twisted almost. Now, we could come in here. Now, I want to keep the way that trunk looks. It looks a little bumpy. It lets you know it's different from these trees over here. My light maybe might be in there, so I'll keep the shadow on this side. And if you need to come back in with a little bit more detail to let you know that there are some branches up there, you can. Just keep that dark. I might want to blend that a little bit. And remember, if you don't like it, you can always take that 2-inch brush, come back, go back in. Some of those disappeared into the foliage there. Okay, so I have a little bit of black left. Before I do that, let me take my 2-inch brush and just blot some of that out, just so you can't tell where one branch starts and one branch ends, and where the foliage is coming from. Just want to blot that out just a little bit. And I want to dab at that because I want it to look a little bit more. There we go. I like that. Misty. I'm going to make that, let's get a little bit of that black. There we go. You still have the integrity of the bark and of the trunk. Remember, that's my lighter side, so I just mix that a little bit more, and let's put a little bit of black on the other side. Just a tad there. So I need to get my smaller brush and pick up some of that black. A palette knife will also work. Matter of fact, let's try that. Let's pick up some of that black with a palette knife. Just get a little roll of paint there on the side, and you could just kind of move this up because it's coming off the edge. Just a little bit more so it looks continuous, but you know, it could disappear. The eye is really an optical illusion. It's a trick to the eye. Once you start it, your eye tells your brain to let that continue on up the branch or the trunk. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Now, I have just a little bit of black left. I'm going to pick up all the rest of that black, use up all my paint here, and make sure I get those trunks. I still can see through them here. You wouldn't really be able to see through those. So just take a little bit of that black and just blend it on out to the bottom. You don't even know where they disappear to. Same over here. Let's blend that on out to the bottom. But you do know your eye put it there, so your eye is telling your brain to make those trunks go down to the ground. Because that's what we see in nature and that's what we want to believe. So there's my monochromatic painting using only phthalo green, ivory black, and titanium white. I hope you have enjoyed this session. This is also a cool color demonstration. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.